Got it. Okay. Hey, dear. I'm getting ready to call on you. Oh, so two things. Yeah, you are. Last presentation is the yes, that's kind of early on, right? Right. You ready? So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That was nice. It was very nice. Good afternoon and welcome back. And let me just say that I and we are very, very grateful. It's been Thursday, Friday, and now into after 12 noon on Saturday, and so many of you have really hung in there with us. We're hearing a lot of feedback about the task force meetings, the plenary sessions, and this, at least for me, has been a quite enjoyable conference meeting. And I want to reemphasize, you hear me say this, you've probably heard me say this just about every day. This happens because of the great focus, attention to detail, the growing influence that the conference is having, and that credit goes to our CEO and Executive Director and the staff here at USCM. Please recognize Tom Cochran and the great staff. As a matter of fact, I should have done this before I said it. For any of the staff that's in the room who are not out somewhere else working, can we get the staff of USCM to stand up for a second, please? They have just done a great job, made my job and responsibility so much easier, and I find that when I just do what they tell me to do, it all seems to work out pretty well. Let me call on our Vice President, Mayor Scott Smith, to begin our lunch, and so please welcome him to the microphone.
Okay, I swallowed now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Mayor Nutter, I am pleased to report on the progress of our mayor's national DollarWise campaign. Our DollarWise campaign is dedicated to increasing access to financial education for all Americans. I want to thank the hundreds of mayors who have made it their priority to support DollarWise and its goals. This year, DollarWise is awarding new grants to another 8 cities, bringing the total to 45 cities during the program's history. We extend a special thanks to Bank of America Charitable Foundation, founding sponsor of the DollarWise campaign, for making these grants possible. I would like to invite Steve Fitzgerald from Bank of America to join me for the award presentation. Steve? Here he comes. The DollarWise Summer Youth Campaign encourages all cities to incorporate financial education into their summer youth jobs programs. A first job also means a first paycheck, and learning how to manage it is one of the incredible benefits of having a summer job. This year's summer youth winners are Mayor Carl Brewer in the city of Wichita, Kansas, whose Way to Work program served 100 youth this year. Mayor Francis Slay in the city of St. Louis, Missouri, whose STL Youth Jobs program employed 500 youths in his city. Mayor Greg Goodnight in the city of Kokomo, Indiana. Yeah, I wish I had a name. You know, Mesa is so boring. Kokomo. Wasn't there a song about that sometime? Somewhere. Kokomo, Indiana, whose summer jobs programs enable over 60 youth to benefit from a new financial literacy effort next summer. Mayor John Linder and the city of Chester, Pennsylvania, whose employer-paid internship program serves over 100 youth each year. And Mayor Gail McLaughlin, and the City of Richmond, California, whose Summer Youth Employment Program provides meaningful work to 250 underserved youth. For their efforts, each city will receive a $4,000 Summer Youth Grant. Congratulations. Let's give them a hand. In 2013, the DollarWise Youth Campaign will again invite summer youth job holders to visit the DollarWise website, complete financial educational curricula, and win prizes including iPads and iPods. That's a great deal. Last summer, we had over 700 youth participate with winners from 14 cities. We want to double that number this summer, and we ask all mayors to help publicize this educational opportunity. In addition, DollarWise will encourage mayors to ask their business and nonprofit communities to hire more youth next summer. In front of you is a new publication, Partnerships for Summer Youth Employment, which provides examples of mayors who partner with local businesses to increase the number of summer jobs for youth. On Thursday, we also released the first U.S. Conference of Mayors Zogby Analytics Survey on the percentage of companies that hired youth last summer. The survey found that 30% of U.S. businesses hired youth under the age of 23 in the summer of 2012. This is a great start, but in 2013, we want to dramatically improve that number. We invite our cities and members of the Mayor's Business Council to join us in this summer campaign. Now to the announcement of the DollarWise Innovation Grants in the amount of $15,000 each. Our first winner is Mayor Ed Lee of San Francisco. Yeah, let's hear it. With strong support from Mayor Lee, the San Francisco Office of Financial Empowerment has offered financial planning days, conducted over 150 financial education workshops, and was the pioneer of the Bank On movement that has swept the country. With this grant, the city will expand its outreach to domestic violence survivors, affordable housing residents, adults with disabilities, and other adults. Congratulations to Mayor Lee. I think he had to leave, didn't he? Our second winner is Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake in the city of Baltimore. With strong support from Mayor Rawlings Blake, Baltimore has established an ongoing campaign to weave financial literacy and education into the city's YouthWorks Summer Jobs program. The city will use the grant to further expand its summer financial education program. Congratulations to Mayor Rawlings Blake. And our third winner is none other than Mayor Michael Nutter in the city of Philadelphia. And he is here. The mayor and the city have been national leaders in foreclosure prevention, saving over 5,000 homes through the Residential Mortgage Foreclosure Diversion Program. With this DollarWise grant, the city will be able to expand this program to additional neighborhoods. Mayor Nutter, congratulations. Okay, they want pictures now. Okay. This is yours. Yeah. Can I say a word?
Yeah.
And then I take over.
Yeah, you come back. Thank you very, very much for this. And again, I want to thank DollarWise and all the folks who are involved. Saving people's homes, keeping our neighborhoods strong is a particular focus for the city of Philadelphia. We're more than happy to share any information to help prevent mortgage or foreclosure in your city. Please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're more than happy to share the information so that you too can save the homes of your residents and your constituencies. But thank you, USEM, for this, and thank you, DollarWise.
Please join me in giving these mayors another well-deserved round of applause. And now I'd like to ask Steve Fitzgerald of the Bank of America Charitable Foundation to say just a few words. Steve?
Well, thank you, Mayor Smith, Mayor Nutter, and of course, thank you to the Conference of Mayors for really this great partnership that Bank of America, for nearly a decade, has participated as the founding sponsor of such an important program like DollarWise, and really its means to create at the local level a set of key resources and programs that build financial capability, financial stability, personal wealth, and of course with our future leaders, the young men and women of our cities, as it connects their jobs to a pathway to success. And so this partnership has been one that has been extremely important to the Bank of America. We're proud to be part of the partnership. I want to say congratulations again to this year's grantees. We look forward to following the progress and seeing the best practices and the success stories right at the local level. So on the behalf of Bank of America, thank you once again to the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the opportunity to continue the partnership with the DollarWise campaign. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, Steve. We encourage all the mayors to participate in our DollarWise campaign, including the Financial Planning Days. Last year held in 24 cities and co-sponsored by the Foundation for Financial Planning. If you'd like to host a Financial Planning Day or any of these DollarWise activities, please visit the DollarWise exhibit in the hallway. I think it's already taken down, so go talk to Steve. Congratulations to all our winners today. Thank you to all the mayors who are participating and to Bank of America for your strong support. With that, no, I'm going to wait. You got one more bite. And with that, nice weather out there today, huh? It's really good that we have. This is the biggest crowd I think we've had for a Saturday afternoon. We should plan an inauguration around every one of our winter meetings. It helps attendance immensely. Can we talk? You got connections. Can you talk about that?
I know a few people.
Oh, he knows a few people. Manny Diaz, love to have you back. Bienvenidos. Okay. Oh, now that Mayor Nutter has swallowed, we shall turn it back over to him.
It's tough up here today. Thank you, Mayor Smith, for taking care of this portion of the program. And did you give a shout out to Manny? You gave a shout out to Manny?
Here. Ahora damos el bienvenido al alcalde pasado de la gran ciudad de Miami y el presidente pasado de esta organización, Manny Diaz. Is that good?
Very good.
Gracias. Ahora siéntese pues.
What he said. We're going to go into we have a special presentation, Making Cities Stronger Through More Efficient Benefits. I just want to make one mention of, before coming into the room, I was at the Mayors and Chiefs Task Force meeting that's headed by Mayor Swearingen, Ashley Swearingen from Fresno. And with all of the conversation that's going on about public safety issues, and again, within this conference, we'll have a lot of discussion and debate about how we make our cities safer and the proposals that President Obama put out just a couple of days ago. I would have to believe that of all the things that have been said in the last few days, there will be one area where this conference would be 100% united around a particular proposal, and that is the idea the President has put forward, $4 billion in funding for the COPS program. We need to be for that. We need to be for that now. We need to be for it tomorrow. We need to be for it next week. And we need to fight for those dollars, because the one thing we all know is that having more police officers and having the flexibility, and whether they're in schools, out of schools, around schools, near schools, or just out on the streets, we know that that works, and that makes our cities safer. And so we as a conference need to aggressively champion that idea, make sure that that funding is made available, and then that it flows immediately to us. No going around the corner, no going somewhere else, right to the city. So we'll be coming back to you on that one. I'm also very excited to kick off what I know will be a timely and lively conversation about employee benefits and why you need to be involved and how you can save precious city dollars while improving your employees' futures. This conversation will also touch on how to avoid litigation while taking necessary actions. The U.S. Conference of Mayors is a thought leader in this area and has brought best practices and programs to cities across the country as they face employee benefits challenges. This year marked an historic year for the conference. After a nearly 35-year relationship with the Deferred Compensation Plan Administrator, the U.S. Conference of Mayors began a new and revolutionary partnership with Great West. I'm sure this forum will help get you acclimated to this partnership. As a part of this forum, Columbia Mayor Steve Benjamin will moderate a panel of public sector retirement experts, including those from our partner, Great West, as well as the Groom Law Group, a leading firm in employee benefits law. They represent such small groups as the NFL, CBS, Campbell Soup, and American Airlines. Obviously, being facetious, they are in the big business and know their business well. Mayor Benjamin will also introduce a speaker from his hometown company, Colonial Life. Bill Haidt, Public Sector Director, will speak on the issue of how cities can save money on employee benefits by implementing proven best practice strategies from the GFOA. These programs and other USCM partnerships are not only valuable to our cities, but our cities' participation in these programs keeps our dues here at USCM low. Did I mention that these programs and other USCM partnerships are not only valuable to our cities, but our cities' participation in these programs helps to keep our dues here at USCM low? Maybe the word, did I mention? No. One other important thing. I've also asked Mayor Benjamin to serve as advisor and advocate on our benefits partnerships, and he has graciously agreed to do that. Please give it up for Mayor Benjamin. Thank him for that leadership. In this role, Mayor Benjamin will oversee and work with these programs on an ongoing basis. And so, before I invite Mayor Benjamin to the podium, our CEO and Executive Director, Tom Cochran, has a few words for us as well.
Thank you, Mayor Nutter, President Nutter. Pulling the Deferred Compensation Program together has been one of my main focuses this year. And because of certain contractual relations that we had, I was not able to make that announcement until October the 8th. But I'm just very pleased to announce that we've got a new partner, Great West, and they're a great team. And I'm very glad that they're here to share this important information with you mayors today. I know that Brent Neese and Marilyn Costa from Great West and Steve Saxon from the Groom Law Group will be able to explain what mayors need to know about our new initiatives. It's going to be more efficient, and it's going to be cheaper, and it helps us with the fiduciary role that we have to you to make certain that our deferred compensation program is not only a benefit for the city employees, but it provides the best program that keeps you from being pulled into litigation. Mayors have no need to be in. Mr. President, that's all I'll have to say for right now. We will be working as we get out of this meeting to continue to strengthen this relationship and make it better for our employees and for our organization. And thank you very much.
So with that, it's going to be a tough day. Mayor Benjamin, come on up.
So guys, the moral of the story is we must spend more time feeding our officers, okay? We have to make sure these guys can eat. They work and run so hard, Mr. President. Tom, Scott, thank you so much for your confidence in me when Mayor Nutter and Tom asked me to take on this role. I was honored, of course, to help serve the conference and our cities in any way I possibly could. I know firsthand how valuable these partnerships are to cities. My city, the city of Columbia, South Carolina, works with both Great West and Colonial Life. I also know how important, and I appreciate, Mr. President, you underscoring the fact that these strong business relationships help keep our dues low, so more and more of us can participate. And what I would suggest is a fantastic conference. And how many of you? I mean, I will tell you, this has been an information-packed and useful opportunity. Has this been a great conference, guys? I mean, this has been awesome. It's been awesome. So the effort in keeping our dues low and keeping us all apprised of best practices. We all know that our employees, the men and women who do the real work, the tough work in making our cities run, they're woefully unprepared to achieve retirement security. Statistics show that income replacement will be less than 50% of current income for public employees. Most of the folks we know who work in our organizations, whether it's law enforcement or public works, don't make a lot of money now. Certainly don't earn what they deserve. So income replacement being at 50% is a real challenge. Our U.S. Conference of Mayors program provides a way for employees to save on a tax-deferred basis for successful retirement tomorrow. This costs your city nothing and provides a very much needed benefit. And you think about this, guys, over 30 years ago when mayors approached the Conference of Mayors asking for this type of program to be put together, we've all had many conversations in these rooms over the last couple of days discussing the strength of our collective buying power. When we do things together, the message that we can send, and certainly I can think of no more powerful message than to say that we appreciate the men and women who work hard for our cities every single day. This is an opportunity in this age when we're talking about pension reform and going to defined benefits plan, when every day your employers are saying you're taking something from us. This is an opportunity at no cost to us to give something very special to them to help provide some retirement security. This program, this deferred compensation program, is the backbone of what's really grown to be a key niche of the conference's work, and staying on the cutting edge of best practices and programs is why mayors like myself and others up here look to the conference for guidance on so many matters. With that being said, I'm not going to talk long. I'm going to try my best to move this along and let our experts speak, and we're going to give you all a chance to ask some questions as well. You didn't come to hear me speak. Like many of you, I spend a lot of my time in our public schools. I remember going to speak to a fourth grade at Arden Elementary, and they asked the fourth graders to write 4 lines on Julius Caesar. He wrote that Julius Caesar was a general. Julius Caesar lived a long time ago. Julius Caesar gave long speeches. They killed him. So we're going to keep it nice and short, all right? But we're going to make sure that the experts have a chance to speak. We're going to kick off this opportunity by giving each panelist a chance to introduce themselves and share their background. And Brandon, why don't we begin with you, a short introduction on who you are and who Great West is, and some of our mayors may not be familiar.
Thank you, Mayor Benjamin. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for the opportunity to address this distinguished group. This is a very inspiring conference. It's been wonderful to share your company. My name is Brent Neese. As Mayor Benjamin said, I'm responsible for and dedicated to Great West Financial's public business across the United States, specifically focused on helping municipal employees prepare adequately for retirement. I have dedicated my career, nearly the past 20 years, to helping public servants with their financial literacy, with their preparedness for retirement. It is something that is very near to my heart and that we're very focused on. And I'm very proud to work with Great West Financial in that important endeavor. Great West was a pioneer in the deferred compensation arena. We've been operating in this particular space for the last 40 years, focused again on the everyday hero. And we've got a very large group of individuals, a couple hundred people across the country, that only do this in your communities. And I've got a number of those individuals here with me today, and I'd like to recognize them. If I could get the Great West Financial staff to stand up. Today, we've grown to the market leadership position in deferred comp plans, and we've grown because of our very specific processes around retirement readiness and our low-cost structure, which is very, very important. We are the number one provider to states, number one provider to large cities. We have a lot of relationships with a lot of the individuals in this room, and we are very, very proud to represent you and to take care of your employees, and thank you for that opportunity. Today, all told, there's 4.5 million participants across the country that we care for. We are committed, we are focused, we are capable, and this new partnership, which we are so very fortunate and proud of, will enable even more improvements to your employees, better administration, better technology, better communication and education, and ultimately financial literacy and preparedness. So I'd like to again thank Mayor Benjamin, Tom Cochran, President Nutter for the opportunity to be here with you today, and we look forward to addressing your questions.
Thank you for that background, Brent. Steve?
Hi, I'm Steve Saxon. I'm chairman of Groom Law Group here in Washington, D.C. Groom Law Group is an employee benefits firm. We're actually the top-rated benefits firm in the United States, meaning I work on a number of issues related to fiduciary responsibility, how you design and operate your plans. As an aside, Mayor Nutter said that I work for the NFL. I actually work for the NFL players, so I was involved in the fight for free agency 20 years ago, and I was also involved last year when the Players Association had their problems with the owners. We're delighted to be here. I think we have a really interesting, I hope we have an interesting conversation with you today, and thank you, Mayor Benjamin, Mayor Smith, and Mayor Nutter for having me here.
Your expertise is going to provide a great framework for our conversations. Niners, Falcons, any insight?
Well, the Redskins are gone, so now we're big fans of RG3 here.
Marilyn.
Hello, I'm Marilyn Collister. I'm Senior Director of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs at Great West. I've had a number of legal positions there. I've been with Great West for 26 years. And I'm also focused on fiduciary responsibility. I've specialized in governmental plans and education. Brent and I co-author a Focus on 457, which is periodically sent out to our plan sponsors to tell them what's new, what's pending in front of the legislation or in regulatory agencies. And I'm also a co-author of the 401k Answer Book.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the introductions. I have a few questions after that. We're going to open up for questions from you mayors and the audience. And I'll start with probably the most basic question, the one I asked when I was asked to help in this facilitator's role. Why is the Conference of Mayors involved in deferred compensation? Why? And certainly I got some of the history, but Tom, you want to speak to that? Why are we involved? And I can certainly. Okay, should I go ahead and all right, I'll do it. About what we're doing now, not what we did a long time ago. Absolutely. Yes, sir. I'm not sure my life will be complete without taking orders from Tom Cochran. He does a good job, and my wife has told me he does a great job keeping me straight. I know that well over 30 years ago, and the answer to the question is basically that well over 30 years ago, the mayors came to the Conference of Mayors and said that we have opportunities to do some things, but our opportunities are fractured. If we work together to try and bind the collective power, the collective economic power of our individual cities, what can we do here? Now, years later, thousands of employees in a multi-billion-dollar program, the decision has been made for us to move forward with a brand new partner to make sure that we were doing everything we possibly could to maximize the opportunity for our employees to retire with the amount of dignity and security that they deserve. The Conference of Mayors has been a binding force for 35 years in this effort, and we're excited to move forward in this next effort. Question. Oh, please.
Yeah, Mayor Benjamin, if I could, we are interested in the city of Mesa. We've used Great West for quite a while, and have been extremely happy. The results have been very, very positive, as we find that things like benefits, especially deferred benefits, are that for many of us who don't run our own pension plans, but because they're at a state level or whatever, the benefits become increasingly important in getting the most that we can, because it is one area that we do control. I was just wondering from Great West, I know they work with the City of Mesa. What other cities are you currently working with?
So today we have over 25,000 programs that we administer in thousands of cities across the country, and I wanted to thank you, Mayor Smith, for the opportunity to serve your community for so many years. We've also worked with the City of New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Baltimore, Jacksonville, many of the communities, several that were recognized today for their work on financial literacy, and many others, really too many to cover. We also have the privilege of working with 19 of your states to administer your programs, and so this is the main deal at Great West. We are 40% of our plans are specifically public sector, and this specialty allows us to really to tailor our deliveries to your specific and unique needs.
Right, and just getting very basic, because many of us are busy with, as Mayor Nutter says, filling potholes and worrying about law enforcement. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the 457 plan as well, exactly what the plan is? So
if you remember the good old three-legged stool, or what was supposed to be a three-legged stool, the pension was only your defined benefit plan was only supposed to be one of those legs. And unfortunately, over the years, people haven't done an adequate job of those other that other leg. Of course, you got Social Security and then your personal savings. So the deferred compensation program is quite frankly the third leg of the stool. It's the way that your employees can save money without paying taxes, pre-tax, tax-deferred growth on that money, and it is a critical piece. Mayor Benjamin, as you were talking about the introduction, some of the statistics in terms of retirement readiness in the public sector are scary to think about. The replacement ratios that people are walking away from if they don't use that third leg of the stool is frightening. So our goal at Great West is through communication and education, technology, low cost and great investments, is to provide the guidance and the direction and the tools for people to adequately prepare.
Sure. And what's great about it is this is a benefit that you provide your city employees that doesn't cost you any money. So you get credit for providing a benefit. They get to defer their piece of their salary on a tax advantage basis, and it doesn't cost you anything. So that's, in an era where everything else is costing you something, this just is a way under the tax code that employees can save for their retirement on a tax advantage basis. You get the credit for it, and they get the retirement security at the end of the day. And we'll go into some of the real benefits of that in a second.
That's a good point, Steve. Many places will have to hire a consultant to go help them go find the best plans. What do you think of the conference's facilitative role in helping make that happen?
I just think that it is true, and of course, today with all the litigation out there, it's very important that either that in looking at as a plan sponsor, as a sponsor of this kind of program, you're a fiduciary. And in looking at the providers, you have to make a prudent decision. And you go about this either by doing an RFP or competitive bid. But in this case, you asked the conference to do this. The conference did the work. They went out in a prudent way, did the fact-finding. They surveyed the marketplace, which I will tell you from a legal standpoint is basically the same as doing an RFP. They surveyed the marketplace. They went out and got reports from the experts about who is the best provider in terms of cost, in terms of investment performance, in terms of quality of services, and in terms of education. And they did that survey, and the results of the survey showed that Great West was at the top of the list. And then later on we'll talk about some of the other consultants like Dalbar have found that Great West is also at the top of the list. So that means that you don't have to do the work. You don't have to hire a consultant at $40,000 or $50,000 to go do the survey for you. The conference has done that, and you can rely on that in making your decision. The only thing at this point I think that the conference is asking you to do is to give Great West a chance to come in and show you, talk to you about what it's all about. Or not particularly you, but your staff, your HR guys, or your Treasury guys.
And this is a significant shift. We're talking about 30 years of working with Nationwide, but the focus that we want to make sure is of Great West is that Great West has made a commitment to not just working with large and mega cities, but working with mid-sized and small cities all across the country. When we first started having those conversations, how did it go with Great West, Brent?
Well, let me just say how thrilled we are for this partnership and this opportunity to address. As I said, we've been committed to deferred compensation for 40 years, but we have largely focused on the larger plans, and we've wanted to take our best-in-class package of technology and pricing and investments and get it to the average American city. And this partnership is really giving us the opportunity to do that. And we are committed to it and focused and very, very thankful for the opportunity.
And let me just give you one example of what happened in the negotiations with Great West. The conference was able to negotiate because of the things that Mayor Benjamin was talking about in terms of buying power and economies of scale, that for cities with assets greater than $500,000, the administrative fee of 65 to 75 basis point those fees go away. And what does that mean? That means for an average employee over, let's say an employee works for 30 years, an average employee who doesn't have to pay that administrative fee, at the end of 30 years, they have $50,000 to $70,000 more in their pocket. $50,000 to $70,000 that they can spend over their retirement. You know, divide it up any way you want. It's a couple $1,000s more per year, several $100s more per month, because this is a less expensive program, and that's what happened in these negotiations.
$50,000 to $70,000. How many covered employees now? We're talking about a few 100,000.
There's about 300,000 in the program currently.
Okay, I count with that. I'm not sure I can count that up just yet. Marilyn, what are your thoughts on the new relationship?
Yeah, thank you. In addition to what's been said, we also want you to know that the conference and Great West is very dedicated to keeping you apprised of what's going on with regard to your plans, making sure that you know when your plans need to be updated, or what new features you can add. There's a new in-plan Roth conversion feature now that will be available once the systems and the IRS provide additional guidance. And we also provide fiduciary training for you and your staffs. We do that through seminars and webinars, conference calls, and educational material. So we think that will be a benefit to both our plan sponsors and to your participants.
Marilyn, talk a little bit more about our role as a fiduciary and exactly what that means. Oftentimes, as mayors, we're talking to our employees and to the kids that we speak to in our communities about doing the right thing. What exactly does doing the right thing mean?
Yeah, doing the right thing really means understanding that you have a fiduciary responsibility and then taking those responsibilities seriously. I think one of the major misconceptions that I find with some employers is that they think since they selected a trustee or a plan record keeper, that eliminated the city's fiduciary responsibility. And they don't understand that just the act of selecting those people was a fiduciary act. So it's important to realize that since you're making decisions on behalf of the plan, you're administrating the plan, you're selecting the investment providers and the service providers, that's a fiduciary function. But once you know your basic responsibilities, which is acting solely on behalf of your plan participants and doing it in a prudent manner, it's really common sense to comply once you know what the rules are. In other settings, I've asked for a show of hands. Who decided to go out and breach your fiduciary responsibility today? No hands, right? That's a good thing. But then you say, well, can you name your fiduciary responsibilities? And there's typically no hands then either. So it's just knowing that you have a responsibility, knowing the 3 basic things that you need to do, and then compliance is pretty much common sense.
And I just add to that, Marilyn was saying, this selection of a provider is a fiduciary responsibility. So the selection of Nationwide, the selection of Great West is a fiduciary responsibility. Nationwide was selected 30 years ago. You can't make a fiduciary decision 30 years ago and sit in your hands for the next 30 years and think that everything's going to be okay. You have to evaluate the investment performance of the funds under the program. Most people do it quarterly. At least, you need to do it at least a couple times a year. One of the good things is that, the conference is here to help you do that. But over time, if you look at the investment performance and the funds are 4th quartile, poorly performing funds, if you don't make a switch, then that is a reason why participants would bring a lawsuit and saying, look, I could have earned 5, 6, 7% instead of losing 5, 6, 7%. Somebody in your office needs to sit down periodically and evaluate investment performance, evaluate cost, and evaluate quality of services. Do we have a lot of problems with our employees being able to make transfers? Do we have problems with respect to getting their money out of the plan? If you have those kinds of problems, you ought to switch to another provider. That's what the fiduciary rules are telling you to do. And the good thing, like I said before, is that the conference is doing a lot of that work for you. And if they're doing the work for you and you've signed a city agreement with the conference, then you can rely on what they've done in proving out your procedural prudence.
I'll add one other thing about misperceptions. I think some employers think if they have multiple providers, that they have multiple plans, that it's a Great West plan or a Nationwide plan or a Provider X plan. And you only have, and they just let their employees decide where to put their money. But you only have one plan. It's the city's plan. What you're doing with that one plan is offering multiple providers. And with this responsibility to monitor providers, that's, doubling or tripling the amount of fiduciary work you should be doing. And it's also problematic if they offer the same funds and the fees are different. Wide is one, Fund A, the fees are different with the different providers. So you have to remember that you just have one plan. You need to operate it in the most efficient fashion and not just, it's a fiduciary decision. It's not an employee decision.
And Marilyn, although we're not taking question and answer yet, the great mayor of Akron has a question, and I feel compelled to ask it, okay? So how do mayors get engaged in helping employees switch their plans over? I mean, helping the city switch its plan over. How does that process start? And that may be for you.
That's
right?
probably for Brent.
So as I mentioned, or as I recognize a number of the individuals that are here in the room, we have a couple hundred counselors, retirement plan specialists that are in your communities, in your states, that are prepared to help you. And I know that you guys had a lot of stuff on your chair when you came in to lunch today, but on the tables there's a white and red card and a red pen. If you'd like us to have one of the counselors come out and meet with you or your staff, we'd appreciate that opportunity. You can just let us know who to contact and leave this card on the table, and or you can turn it into one of the USEM staff or myself. But we'd love the opportunity to talk to you about the program, show you the significant cost savings, show you the improvements in the investment, the administration, and the education capabilities, and hopefully get out there and help your employees become retirement ready.
Understanding the fiduciary responsibilities that we have to make sure that we pick the best plan, and just doing the math, Steve, 50 to 70,000 per employee. I did it quickly for my employees. We have 2,100 employees. You're talking about, at the end of a career, $105 million in my city alone, staying in our city. How do we get more of our employees to take advantage of a 457?
Well, there's a concept under the law now. It's called auto-enrollment, and it's been accepted under the ERISA laws, and it's now widely used. And what it is, it used to be that when you hired a new employee, you offered them the opportunity to participate in the program, but they had to affirmatively go out and elect to participate, meaning that they would elect to defer a little bit of their salary each week or every 2 weeks and put it into their retirement. And you're talking about a 25-year-old, they're just not going to do that. They don't understand what the importance is of what Mayor Benjamin was talking about. That amount of money for the 200 employees grows to $105 million because it grows because of the compounding interest over the 30 years of their employment. So if you auto-enroll your employees by saying, look, listen, 25-year-old, when you sign up, when you're employed by us, you will automatically go into this deferred compensation program. And if you don't want to be in it, that's okay. You can sign a piece of paper saying that you don't want to defer any money. But because of human nature, employees are much less likely to go and get the money out when they realize in their heart of hearts that this is something they ought to be doing, and you've done it for them. So what we would suggest is this concept, just the 2 words, auto-enrollment.
Okay. Fantastic. Using the conference program as a benchmark, and that's what we want people to do as they go through their role as a fiduciary. Steve, could you talk a little bit quickly about some of the dirty tricks you might find out there in the marketplace from competitors?
Yeah, I've been involved in this negotiation. It was a tough negotiation where, after 30 years, looking at the facts, the conference decided that the relationship, it ultimately Nationwide terminated the conference, but the conference wanted changes. They needed changes in the investment lineup. They needed lower costs being passed on to you, and they weren't getting those changes. So there was a difference of opinion, and that led to basically a settlement negotiation that occurred over many, many months. At the same time, the conference was negotiating bringing Great West in. And like anything, there's an old adage, anything's fair in love and war, and there was a lot of misinformation passed around about what the conference was up to. Look, if you ask anybody from the conference is making a lot less money with Great West now than they did with Nationwide. So the obvious reason why the conference switched to Great West was because it's better for you in terms of investments, in terms of quality services, and in terms of cost. They made that decision. Ultimately, we think it's the best decision for you, and that's why we're going to stick with it.
I know we're going to have some questions for our audience. Frank Ortis? So it's on its way. You don't need a mic, Frankie.
Thank you, Mayor. Frank Ortis, Mayor of the great city of Pembroke Pines, Florida, next door to the recurring NBA champions Miami Heat. The only ones I can boast about, that's it, in our state. Okay. My city is 54 years old, as old as the mayor. Thank you very much for that. But because of that, the preponderance of our employees now are in the retiree group. So what do we do to engage that block of employees, the retiree group? Thank you very much.
It's an excellent question with the baby boomers retiring at breakneck speed every day. Obviously, the need for better investments, better advice, better education around how to get not just to retirement, but through retirement is more needed and necessary than ever. I could spend a lot of time talking to you about the investments that we've made in that regards, but I'll just briefly say that we have a couple of unique processes. One, we have retiree advocates that will come to your city and community and specifically focus and talk to people that are either in transition to retirement or already in retirement. The conference, in their wisdom, asked us to put in a guaranteed minimum withdrawal benefit into the program, a service called Secure Foundation, which will provide people guaranteed income for life, as well as the opportunity to avoid market downturns. So it's a very interesting, revolutionary solution for people that want, of course, guaranteed income for life. And we spend a lot of time on lifestyle transition as well as financial literacy, because it is a big change those first couple of days when you go into retirement. So again, it's a comprehensive approach specifically geared to retirees. Thank you for your thoughtful question.
Another question from the audience? Mayor?
Great Western, I did have your staff in and did a presentation for us, so we're exploring it. But I wanted to ask you, your website says that you invest or administer $172 billion of a portfolio. Is that correct? That's what it says on the website.
Okay, I'm sure it's correct then.
My question is, when you do enter into arrangements with mayors in their cities, how do you carefully invest that money and to ensure that the investment is sure and stable? I mean, I know the investments are volatile at times, but to guarantee that you're not going to be losing people's pensions, what measuring tool do you use, and what is your performance rate on that? And also, we had discussions around companies that are investing in manufacturing those who invest in manufacturing gun manufacturers, and we're looking to divest in those. How would you handle that conflict of interest if you're investing in some of those manufacturers that we're actually looking to divest our business in?
So there's a number of different questions there. I'll do my best to answer a few of them. First and foremost, the asset allocation of your participants, the combination of investments that they choose is going to dictate most of their personal return. There's an old study that shows that I think something like 90% of return is based on the combination of investments, not the specific investment you pick. So the right education programs and advice programs around helping your employees who have day jobs, and that are not necessarily that investments are not their forte, being able to provide the right guidance tools, communication education so that they can get into the right combination of investments, I think is the most important answer to your question. And that's something that we spend a lot of time and focus on. As far as the specific investments, we will work with you. We've worked with the conference to put together a fantastic lineup that includes age-appropriate target date funds that are tailored to public sector employees, because the public sector is different than the private sector in terms of the length of employment and a lot of other characteristics. And so I think it's tailoring your investments around your specific needs. And the core lineup that we've put together with the conference does a lot of that, but we will actually work with you to tailor it even further. So if you have those issues and you want to get I would call them socially irresponsible companies out of your portfolio, we can help you with that.
We're going to take one more question. We're going to divert from the program to hear from my EPA administrator and come right back. Mayor Moreau Weinberger.
Thank you, Mayor. And finishing up my first U.S. Mayor's Conference here, I'm Mayor of Burlington, Vermont. I want to thank Tom Cochran and the staff of the U.S. Mayor's Conference. It's been a great program, and thank you for pairing me with a buddy who is an expert in municipal financing and deferred compensation plans. My question is this, and maybe, Mayor, you could speak to this. I've heard you say this new partnership will help keep our dues low as cities. Can you kind of lay out what is the U.S. Mayor's Conference benefiting from as a result of the new partnership? What goes to the Mayor's Conference?
Well, absolutely. Well, I probably should hit Don Pasquale with that question. He's in charge of the money here. But I will tell you that the partnership that we've developed with Great West, as we have with all of our partners, will grow if we decide we're going to collectively pool our resources. We'll grow into a significant partnership that will inure to the benefit of the entire organization, and then certainly that means we pass along to our member cities to keep those low. We could certainly get into the specifics. We make sure we run a transparent organization. But I may actually come back to that question with some of the specifics, because I think that's a great question, making sure. You want to do it, Steve, and then I'm going to defer to the president.
Is it okay if I talk a little bit? Catherine, is that all right? The deal with Nationwide was about $3 million a year, okay? The deal with Great West is $10 per employee per year. Is that right? So up to $10. I'd say not even. So It's just a different paradigm altogether. And so you can crank out the numbers any which way you want. The conference is going to make less money under this deal, but it is the right thing to do. Now, based on a number of these other questions, the conference is confident that they made the right decision. You need to make a decision yourselves. But you were asking the question about investments. If the portfolio, the lineup, the family of funds that Great West puts in front of you over time, if they go down, you got to get rid of them too. But right now, if you do a comparison, and this is what the law requires, you need to compare. You need to ask and compare. And if you compare cost and performance, then the conference believes that you can make a prudent decision going with Great West. Nobody else, none of the other competitors will like that, but that's just the way it is. Let me just give you one last fact. The other day I was zipping through a magazine, and there was an independent consultant up in Boston did a report on transparency. Dalbar, and you can look it up, but Dalbar said at the end of the day that Great West was number 2 in the United States in terms of transparency. And there was a list of over 20 providers, and the previous provider was like 19. So, yeah.
Just mention that the money that we get does not come from the employees' benefits or anything. It comes above and beyond.
Yeah, Tom was saying the money, the $10 that the conference gets per employee is not coming out of it doesn't come from the employees. Okay. It doesn't come from the city. It comes from Great West. So that's
we're going to pick up this benefits discussion in 1 second. At this moment, I'm going to defer to our president, Michael Nutter, and allow him to introduce one of our honored guests.
Mayor Benjamin, thank you very, very much. Can we please, for this first part of the discussion, give Mayor Benjamin and the entire panel up here a big round of applause. I have the great pleasure and honor. Every now and then you get to recognize great public servants, someone that you work with on a close basis and really has made a difference in your life and in your work. And that person has just joined us, the Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, Lisa Jackson. Lisa Jackson has served quite admirably during President Obama's first term, and again on a personal basis, and I think there are many in the audience who share this. We're certainly surprised, disappointed, but we know public service for what it is, and things do happen. But certainly disappointed that to learn that she would be stepping down. We all have to make these individual personal decisions. As EPA Administrator, she pledged to focus on issues that are mayoral priorities as well, taking action on climate change, improving air quality, protecting America's waters and vital interests. In December of 2009, the Conference of Mayors Water Council began a series of meetings with EPA where we were engaged with Administrator Jackson and her staff on the issue of the Clean Water Act mandates. In particular, we brought before her and her staff the issue of compliance with costly combined sewer overflow consent decrees, which were costing communities millions to billions of dollars. She listened very closely to our concerns, and what resulted was quite remarkable for a federal agency. EPA has issued a series of memos to the regional offices that will hopefully change the way it does business with local governments. There was a memo encouraging the regions to not only allow, but to promote the use of green infrastructure as part of a comprehensive solution to solving water problems. Ms. Jackson also issued a memo calling for the use of integrated planning. This approach, for the first time, allows local governments to work with their regionals to outline their infrastructure needs and their clean water mandates. They can then determine the best and most comprehensive approach to solve pressing environmental and health issues. And today, it is my understanding that the Administrator will be outlining a dialogue that EPA has been entering into with the Conference of Mayors and others regarding the affordability of compliance for water issues. For the first time, EPA is taking a non-silo approach to solving a multifaceted problem. While we still have a ways to go, we applaud the EPA and you, Administrator Jackson, for working so closely with the mayors of our country, listening to our concerns, and having the courage and tenacity to change the way EPA finds solutions. I'll be very, very pleased to present Ms. Jackson with the U.S. Conference of Mayors President's Award in recognition of her tremendous work with the conference. But let me now say on a very, very personal level, I've had many meetings with the Administrator. I have testified in Congress on issues related to clean water. I'm fortunate, at least in Philadelphia, we have a program, Green City Clean Waters, which is a radical change and a different approach away from litigation and costly conflict. This allows us to use the green infrastructure of the city of Philadelphia, and rather than dig up most of the city, spending literally $10 billion, which I do not have, to ensure that we have good stormwater management practices, we'll spend about $2.5 billion over the next 20 years, increasing the green space in our city, utilizing our natural assets, and greening the city of Philadelphia while at the same time managing stormwater. That agreement, an historic agreement signed with the city of Philadelphia, came as a result of the direct personal intervention by Administrator Lisa Jackson. Please give her the biggest round of applause for her public service. This is the U.S. Conference of Mayors President's Award presented to Lisa Perez Jackson, Administrator, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, for national leadership on protecting the environment. January 19th, 2013, signed by me as the Mayor of the City of Philadelphia and President of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Congratulations, Administrator Jackson. Oh, sorry.
Mandatory.
Yeah, yes, yes, sure. Tom.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Mayor. Thank you all. That is an overwhelming award, and I actually have a speech. It was a surprise. So I have a whole speech here on flexibility and water and infrastructure and pledging our partnership, so I won't give it. That'll be my reward to you. I won't give you another speech, but I do want to thank a few people. I do want to thank Mayor Nutter for recognizing and giving the Environmental Protection Agency professionals a chance to show that we mean it when we say we're willing to do the hard work, get down in the trenches, and look at agreements that I know many of your cities have, and not sacrifice clean water, but be willing to take a chance to try the innovative technologies that actually create jobs. They're labor intensive, they create jobs in cities, they add green back into our urban areas, they don't require as much investment in some of the traditional pipes and hardware, but they still require a lot. $2 billion is nothing to sneeze at for sure. So we don't feel like there was anything given up, just a need to maybe nudge people to think a little bit harder about what cities are going through in these tough fiscal times. So I'm glad we had a partner, and even gladder to know that he runs this extraordinary organization. Tom Cochran, thank you. I first met you when I was working on state government, and it so happened that Mayor Palmer brought the Conference of Mayors to Trenton, and I got a chance to meet you, and I appreciate your partnership and leadership of this fine organization. I want to say thanks to the panel for letting me speak for a few moments, and thanks to the leadership of your organization, Mayor Smith, Mayor Johnson. A special shout out, I don't think they're here, to Mayor Ballard of Indianapolis and Mayor Rawlings Blake of Baltimore, Maryland, who head up the water efforts on behalf of the conference and who've stayed at the table literally with staff. I know our deputy was here, Bob Perciasepi, many, many long hours to make sure that we ended up in a place that's good. I want to make one quick announcement. It happened, I know Bob announced it the other day. You heard that we have an integrated planning framework, the idea being that cities have to make investments in water, whether it's drinking water, whether it's wastewater, whether it's storm water. And they're saying, listen, we're willing to spend money, but help us prioritize and understand. So there is time now built into our system. You can renegotiate for more time to allow you to make those kinds of choices. You cannot do it all at once. We understand you are limited by the same thing that limits so many of us, which are resources. But we also just, I think, yesterday, released new guidance that's going out to every one of our regional offices, because I know that's important to folks here, that is about how to look at costs. When a city comes to EPA and says, hey, we need some more flexibility around costs, we can look at financial capability and increase the number of factors that we looked at. We can look at all the investments that a city is making on water to determine how to prioritize and look at whether or not a city is actually spending the right amount. Before, it felt like, well, we're spending this on drinking water and this on wastewater, but you couldn't get credit. So that's different now. We look at median household incomes and community-specific factors to see how they can affect compliance schedules, and the fiscal implications of variable rate structures that allow lower-income households to be able to afford wastewater services so that we don't have the environmental justice issue of very poor people having to spend a large percentage of their income on a basic need like water. So I'm happy to announce that effort. I'm here to tell you that I believe we are on the right road. Now we just have to make sure, as I walk out, that with your help, with the leadership of this organization, we continue to be on that road. And I want to thank my deputy, who's also not here, Bob Perciasepi, who for many years ran EPA's water program, for making it a priority to personally ensure that we got this financial capability document done as well. I just want to close by saying that EPA is about to embark on its next 40 years of water protection. We're going to continue to make progress. We simply cannot, I promise you, make progress if we don't work with communities to find sustainable, smart ways to approach their basic needs and desires. I have yet to find the community in this country that doesn't believe that clean water is vital to their success and quality of life, or that clean air is important to the health of their families. What they want is a partner, and I promise you that your partnership, which has been so invaluable to me and so prized by me, and that award is going right on my wall wherever I land, which I don't know where it'll be, will continue with EPA. So thank you all so very much. I'm honored by the award and by the fact that you recognize our hard work, so thanks.
I want to thank Administrator Jackson because when she came into office, and I think the second year after she was in office, she appointed me as one of her advisors from the local government aspect of. So thank you so much for the work that you've done. And I'm Elizabeth Couts. I'm the mayor of the city of Burnsville and past president. So I'm back pinch hitting for the team. So Mayor Benjamin, please, if you could continue and finish with your presentations.
We'll keep it moving. We're going to have, we had an excellent conversation. We'll have more time, certainly, for question and answer from our panelists, and certainly you've seen the Great West team here in the audience. I would encourage you, let's keep it going. I do want to move on to the second part of our forum. With decades of experience in a variety of public sector roles, Bill Haight has been a longtime friend of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. We're happy to be working closely with him again in his role at Colonial Life. The Colonial Life Partnership was introduced to us, all mayors, at our annual meeting in Orlando this past June, and it's been successful in educating our cities and our employees about the benefit cost containment tactics in the time since. I am proud of Colonial Life, whose headquarters in famously hot Columbia, South Carolina, home of the Fighting Gamecocks. And I'm proud of this partnership. Using a study conducted by the Government Finance Officers Association, the bill has will highlight some action items for mayors that we can apply in our cities to contain our rising benefit costs, while also providing some great benefits for our workers. Please, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor Benjamin. And I want to thank the Conference of Mayors on behalf of Colonial Life for a great partnership. And personally, I'm honored to be here with you folks and humbled as well. So thank you for letting me share some items. I was going to speak in excruciating detail on a GFOA survey, going over every detail. But I think what we're going to do is just cut to the chase, and I want to make some really important points. There's a white document called Containing Healthcare Costs on your chair, under your chair, somewhere around your chair. This is packed full of independent research from the Government Finance Officers Association done through a survey funded by Colonial Life to find out best practices to help cities save money in all different regards. So I would encourage you to try to read through this and this other document that summarizes it to help your city understand about 17 key techniques to save real money. Some examples: City of Dallas saved $1.1 million doing a dependent verification of their health care plan at no cost to the employer. This wellness initiative that you hear everybody talking about now, in fact, the mayor of Chattanooga saved millions, allowing him to build an on-site clinic. These are the types of things that are in here, but for the first time, they're pulled together into one document. So all I really want to say is thank you for allowing me to present to you, and please take some time to read through this. And we're going to spend time out in each of your communities doing presentations on how to utilize these. So please keep an eye open for that and make sure either yourself or somebody at your city can attend. And again, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
I'm done. I want to thank everyone for participating and giving our panelists some great questions as well. Thank you.
And thank you so much
Absolutely.
for everything that you've done, and especially for helping to facilitate and really welcome to the Great West folks. We really appreciate the partnership that we now have with you. And mayors, when they come knocking without staff, Catherine, stand up. Open your doors and welcome them. I would like to now call on our CEO and Executive Director, Tom Cochran, and Mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, Mayor William Bell, for a special announcement about a meeting that we're going to hold in the fall. CEO Cochran.
Thank you, Madam President, always President. First, I want to recognize some very important people here today before we get into the other part of the program, and that is our good friends from the National Association of Counties. We have today the new executive director, Matt Chase, and also our NACO president, Commissioner Christopher Rogers from Douglas County, Nebraska, and the other officers of the National Association of Counties. So I just want everybody to know there's a new kid in town. His name is Matt Chase, and Clarence Anthony was here yesterday with Mayor Lopez Rogers, and we're already meeting, and we're going to kick ass on the muni bonds, okay? And it was very important. As soon as we can get them out of town and get the president sworn in, we go into work. So we had a strong meeting with the White House people on the muni bonds, and this is going to be a great old coalition effort like we've had in the past for revenue sharing and unfunded mandates, CDBG, what have you. So welcome, counties, and we appreciate the support that we had together. And I want you to know it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful time. And we look forward to being with you in March and want you to come to Las Vegas in June. So I want to talk to you about a new initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, on September the 15th, in 1963, there was something happened there that altered the history of America. at 1025 at the 16th Street Baptist Church, a group of cowards threw 15 sticks of dynamite into the 16th Street Baptist Church and killed four beautiful African-American women. And so this is a defining moment in the history, and I'm very pleased to announce today that the United Nations are recognizing the United States Conference of Mayors as the North African representative of the International Coalition of Cities Against Racism and Intolerance. And as you know, the conference has had a long history on civil rights. Before President Kennedy was murdered, he flew to Hawaii in June of 1963, and he outlined his 5 points on civil rights. And we had the mayor of Atlanta, and we've been through this. And just last night, we had this event here on same-sex marriage. So it's been, the Conference of Mayors has been out there on the race issue, the sex issue, the gender issue from day one. The International Coalition of Cities Against Racism is an effort supported by the State Department and the United Nations to address civil rights issues in cities worldwide and to share best practice. We appreciate the Department of State's efforts to include us in this international program. As part of this new effort, we will be joining with the city of Birmingham, Alabama, a meeting in September on civil rights and what action cities have taken and they continue to take on these incredible issues. It's now my pleasure to turn the mic over to Birmingham Mayor William Bell, who will tell you a little bit more of 4 days of incredible events that's going to take place in September, and we hope all of you will be there with us.
Thank you very much, Tom. First of all, let me say good afternoon to each and every one of you and to all of our mayors. I know you are experiencing challenging times during this great time in our life, and that there are many challenges that face our cities, none as great as the challenge that faced the city of Birmingham back in 1963. I want to express my appreciation to Tom and his entire staff for working so diligently and cooperatively with us in extending this invitation to each and every one of you to come to Birmingham during the week of September 11th through the 15th to discuss issues that still affect our society and our community as it relates to race, gender, and sexual orientation. I use the term commemoration as opposed to celebration of the events that took place in 1963. As I looked around the room during the events that were taking place earlier, I saw both men and women, blacks, white, Asian America, Latinos, from all spectrum of our society. Were it not for 1963, we would not be sitting here in this meeting as it's constituted right now. I was listening earlier today to Mr. Clarence B. Jones, one of the individuals who helped Dr. King write his speech for the March on Washington, the I Have a Dream speech. He also coordinated and helped with the writing of the speech called A Letter from the Birmingham Jail. And in his comments today on CNN, he said, were it not for Birmingham and the activities that took place during that period of time, Dr. King would not have had the national and international forum and national stage in order to set the framework for the March on Washington, where he petitioned our government to make good on the check that was given to all Americans, that they would live in a free society. Were it not for the struggles that took place in Birmingham and Dr. King's arrest that took place in April of that year, attention and focus would not have taken place as to the condition of African Americans here in this society. Were it not for the bombing of 16th Street Baptist Church that took the lives of those 4 little girls, the world would not have paid attention as to what was happening, and therefore change may not have occurred as rapidly as it did. But it did happen, and it did change the world. In 1993, when Nelson Mandela came to Atlanta to thank all of the people here in the United States for their efforts on his behalf to have him released from prison in Robben Island in South Africa, he mentioned the fact that were it not for Birmingham and the civil rights movement that was taking place in the South, then he would not have had the hope that change could come to South Africa. Because of the international attention that has been given to Birmingham and the struggles throughout the South, we have joined forces with other mayors, my good friend Stephen Benjamin, who represents Columbia, South Carolina, along with the other mayors of southern cities who participated in the struggle to overcome racial intolerance and racial injustice. We have formed a pact that will now bring attention to all of the efforts that took place back in 1963 that pricked the consciousness of our society. But I know as well as you know that we're not what we used to be in 1963. We've changed dramatically. Oftentimes when I look at old newsreel of Birmingham, or when they talk about Birmingham, they bring out the hose pipes, the dogs, and all the black and white films, and that's who we were. But we're a different Birmingham today. Columbia is a different Columbia, South Carolina today. Memphis is a different Memphis. Jackson, Mississippi is a different Jackson, Mississippi. All of the other southern cities who played a great role. And I saw my good friend Mark Morial, the former mayor of New Orleans, who played its role in the civil rights movement. All of us have come together to say we are different today, and it's time for us to work jointly together to show the world that there's a new South, to show the world that there are new southern cities, that there's new southern leadership, and take our rightful place in the spotlight of moving this country forward. So I want to thank Tom, I want to thank Mayor Nutter, the entire leadership of the U.S. Conference of Mayors for giving us the opportunity to showcase Birmingham, Columbia, South Carolina, and all of the other southern cities. Washington, D.C. has played a tremendous role in the civil rights movement. We're going to tell that story. New York City has played a tremendous role. Other cities around the country helped us overcome the shackles of segregation and Jim Crow laws. So we want to invite all of you to come forward and to participate in this economic summit. This time for us to talk about how we can continue to move our great cities forward, how we can bond together to make it a reality for all of our cities. So I look forward to having you there from September 11th through September 15th to commemorate what happened 50 years ago, but to also to look forward as to what our potential going 50 years forward for our young generation of today. So Tom, again, thank you. Mayor Nutter, thank you. My good friend Steve Benjamin, thank you, and all of you all who have worked so diligently to move the U.S. Conference of Mayors forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. Thank you, Tom, for your leadership on making sure that we continue to keep our eye on the strategies of this organization that dates all the way back and continue to moving forward. Mayors, business friends, and ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure and honor, and I'm just so proud that I get the opportunity to introduce you to Mark Morial, past president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. He was with us from 1994. Mark and I were both elected in 94, except he was elected in May, and I was elected in November. So he was here already about 6 months before I came. And one thing about the Conference of Mayors is that there is this very inviting and generosity amongst mayors. So when he saw me, and it was my winter meeting, and he was coming out of the elevator when I was going in, and he said, "I'll take care of you." And he did from that day on, and we've been very good friends. And Mark is now the Chief Executive Officer of the National Urban League. And but I forgot to tell you that Mark was our president from 2001 to 2002, during some very difficult times. And it was 9/11. You had an agenda, and your agenda changed. We had a leadership meeting scheduled, and that had to change. But he was such a trooper for all of us. He represented us well during that time. And under Mark's leadership, the National Urban League has launched a major jobs initiative, which I know Mark will describe. Mark has also been one of America's strongest voices on gun violence, and I'm sure he'll have plenty of insight to share with all of us. So please help me welcome home our past president, Mark Morial.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon. and I know the hour is late, so I'm going to, like the administrator, dispense with my big, long speech and share some words with you. But let me first begin by thanking Mayor Nutter, Mayor Couts, Mayor Plusquellic, Mayor O'Neill, who I saw, Mayor Diaz, who was here, Mayor Palmer, Tom Cochran, and the staff of the United States Conference of Mayors, Mayor Bowser, so many mayors I had the opportunity to work with over about a decade ago. And I want to thank you for the enduring friendship and the relationships that were developed during the years that I served as president of the Conference of Mayors and mayor of my own hometown. Mayors, just a few things. There is no higher calling than being selected by your fellow citizens as mayor of your own hometown. There is nothing like it in the universe. I am here because I want to share this point with you. Mayor Bell talked about 50 years ago. And 50 years ago, in the face of those challenges, men and women of all races, creeds, and backgrounds met that challenge and began the process of changing this nation. Approximately a little less than 20 years ago, in the early days of the presidency of Bill Clinton, many American cities were reeling under heightening levels of street crime and violence. And through dialogue and challenge to the White House and the White House's challenge back to us, the crime bill was born. It is where the COPS program came from. It is where the ban on military-style assault weapons of that generation came from. It is where there was a renewed and invigorated and concerted effort by federal law enforcement to work with local law enforcement on drugs, guns, street crimes, and the enforcement of existing laws. That crime bill of that generation would not have become law but for the strong, resolute advocacy of that generation of this nation's mayors, Republican and Democrat, working together to make it a reality. The return on that, or the results of that, is that many cities experienced in the late 1990s reductions and declines in the overall rate of street crime. Nearly 10 years ago, a little better than 10 years ago, in the aftermath of 9/11, when holes in the nation's airport security screening system were exposed to the nation and the world, it was the mayors of America who stood up first, less than 48 hours after that awful tragedy, and called for the United States government to professionalize and federalize airport security. And the Transportation Security Administration was born. It was mayors, not members of Congress. It was mayors whose voices were earliest and loudest on that. Now, in this time, right now in 2013, when this nation has been shocked by the very notion that anyone would take the lives of primary school students in a school. This is not a debate about the Rifle Association and the gun lobby. This is a debate on whether we have, as a nation, the courage to say that in the face of the deaths of those children and this violence which has gripped too many communities in this nation, we will do something. And we can debate and argue about whether we will do this, that, or the other. But it would be an abdication of our moral responsibility to those families and those victims to sit on our hands and play beltway politics, this one against that one. So once again, beyond the voices in this town, I will tell you that the voices that can and will make a difference are the voices of the nation's mayors. You've heard from the Vice President, and I know Mayor Bloomberg and many, many others throughout the last few days. And I need not recite specificity of statistics and numbers and provisions and proposals. I'm here to say that there comes times in American history, times in our lives, times when all that is required is courage, the willingness, the desire, and the determination to act. I say to this generation of mayors who are as talented, as experienced, and as fire-tested because of the challenges of the economy and the fisc that your cities have had to confront, that it is time for this generation to raise its voices as loudly and as intelligently on this issue and demand to be heard. Demand to cut through and say, it's not about this lobby group and this contributor or that poll number or this party's political platform or this angle on who's going to control the Congress. It's time to simply say, we're going to stand up for these children and these victims. We were here in 1998, Tom, after Columbine. And a number of us took the unusual step because Congress would do nothing. 30 of us filed lawsuits against gun manufacturers on the issue of gun safety. We did it out of a sense of collective frustration. We did it because we wanted people to recognize that something needed to be done. And that battle was not a battle that we succeeded in. But I look back and I simply say that I'm proud of those of us who took that step back then, because what happened as a result is many of us had postcards and letters and talk show hosts heap all this vitriol upon us. But you know what? In today's America, public opinion has evolved. People are thinking very differently. So whether it's doing something about violent video games, that ought to be done. Violent movies, that ought to be done. Mental health enhancement, that needs to be done. Prevention and investments in youth, that ought to be done. But none of that should be a diversion for action at the federal level along the lines proposed by President Obama. So I say to you, your voice is needed. I want to just add one final issue where I believe the voices of America's mayors are needed, and it is on the issue of jobs. There's going to be a vigorous debate about the fisc and the budget and how to confront the debt. Nobody knows better about balanced budgets than mayors. Nobody knows better than budgetary priorities than mayors. No one knows better than mayors about how crucial investments in CBDG and workforce and those programs that lift up people are. Again, the voices of America's mayors cannot be silent. There has to be an effort to create and produce a human face behind the discussion on where this nation's tax dollars are invested and what return is gotten. It's a call to action. I disagree with those who suggest that because the economy, because the budget is so tight that there's nothing that can be done on jobs by the federal government. How about a comprehensive long-term infrastructure initiative, which is not just about paving roads, but is also about fixing your libraries, your community centers, your water systems in this nation. I just visited China, where the public investments in rail are astounding. We cannot take a back seat in this nation. So I simply close on behalf of the National Urban League and all of our affiliates to thank all of you who connect with my colleagues at the local level, our Urban League affiliates. And many of you are intimately involved. If you're not, I'd like to help you connect with our affiliate in your own hometown. But to say this is your time. This is your call to lead on the challenging and difficult issues. This is a time when maybe in Washington, the red shirts and the blue shirts can't get together. But what the Conference of Mayors has always been able to find is a common agenda for the red shirts and the blue shirts when it comes to America's urban communities. Your voice is needed now more than ever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for those inspiring words. Fellow mayors, our plenary session and winter meeting now stands adjourned, and we'll see you in Las Vegas. Have a great evening. Remember, we have an event this evening, so we'll see you all there. Take care.